Three, two, one. Happy New Year.
Howdy.
I think we're live.
Oh, beautiful.
We should be live. Well, I mean,
That's
we
good.
were already live, but I mean, now
Yeah.
we are live. It's a lot of work,
What
a lot of
lives.
thinking. Yeah. How are you, good
I'm
sir?
doing good. Doing good. How are you?
Hanging in there. It's been a crazy few days. Of course, my neck of the woods not nearly as bad as some of those folks in the South.
Yeah,
Which is, I think, what we wanted to talk about today. Big
absolutely.
event that
Yeah.
just happened.
Real big event. I'm kind of still kind of in awe over, in both a good and bad way, over what happened in the Southeast this year, or not this year. Sorry guys, I just woke up from a nap like an hour ago, so not firing on full cylinders yet. But earlier this week, or I guess last week now, definitely a pretty significant event for sure.
Okay, hang on. I am adjusting your audio just a bit. Go ahead and talk a little for me.
Is that better?
A
Any
little.
better there?
Keep talking.
Hello.
Okay, there we go. I
Oh,
just need to turn you up a bit.
okay.
I got to make sure I don't drown you out. I've been kind of going through and editing some of the previous podcasts.
Mm,
I've noticed like either your microphone will be really quiet or mine will be really loud. Or, of
mm.
course, we had a lot of issues, but
We're working through them. It's all right.
we're doing good.
We're just
Um,
two guys, just kind of doing this. We don't got $1 million budgets or anything.
if we did, though,
Oh, it'd be great
ooh,
if we did.
I'm actually going to.
So yeah,
There we go.
really, definitely a wild week of weather across Dixie Alley. And it's yesterday kind of did underperform a little bit. I know there was a moderate risk out yesterday, and I was kind of sitting here watching it, and it seemed like supercells were kind of firing south of the boundary that was there, and then they did kind of get swallowed up by their own RFD surges, and then just couldn't quite get rooted right, and so it kind of limited the severe risk
Well,
overall.
it performed enough to do PETA's work.
Oh, well, what happened there?
Oh, did you not hear about that?
Oh, I did not hear about this.
Ooh, okay, hang on. I'm gonna see if I can pull it up. Yeah, so oh shoot, I guess we're just getting right into it. So one of the not that. There we go. So one of the tornadoes set loose some tigers
Oh,
in
Jesus.
Georgia.
Oh, God.
Um, yeah, so it was Sunday morning in Georgia. Port. Yeah, so they found him, got him back safe and sound. But yeah, so I guess the tornado destroyed the enclosure and they got out.
Interesting. That's happened quite a few times over the last few years. I thought all these tiger farms were supposed to get closed down or something with the national law they passed. I think Joe Exotic kind of ruined that for
Joe
everybody.
Exotic ruined zoos, but hey, he's running for president.
Is he really?
Yes, he's running for
Oh
president
my
from jail.
gosh.
It's
Oh my
actually.
gosh.
Hang on, oh no. Okay, ignore that. There we
For those who don't know, Joe Exotic's his old tiger farm was like an hour, less than an hour actually, south of Norman, where the University of Oklahoma was. And so you'd always, whenever we were storm chasing, we'd
go.
always drive
Huh?
by it, or at least the former site. I
We
never actually saw it, but
what?
I've driven through the town.
I can't remember what was that guy's name. Oh, Winniewood.
Oh,
The
John,
town was
yeah,
Winniewood.
yeah,
We've
John
definitely
John
been through it.
Ranke. John Ranke found
John
us.
Ranke, yeah.
You guys remember the guy who was missing both of his legs in Tiger King? Well, we were out chasing we started in northwest Texas, and then
I think we've told this story
storm.
already.
We might have,
I
but
think we have.
we'll rehash
for
it
it again.
anyway.
We're gonna be like grandpas retelling our stories like 15 times.
I do that all the time. But We started in Northwest Texas, kind of the Vernon area, and then worked our way back east towards 35 at Dallas. And once we got north of Dallas, this guy started following us, and he stopped. And he got out and was like, "Y'all know who I am?" And our friend Riley was like, "You're the guy from Tiger King." He said he was following us for like an hour, just trying to find the storms. That was the day we had to run away from that rain wrap supercell.
Yes, we did.
That was exhilarating.
That's one word for it. Yeah, we're all about safety on this podcast. Very, very much about safety.
It's a good lead into one of the topics we were going to discuss here.
Is it that topic?
The drama
topic?
Should we just hop right into that?
You know what? This one's all you, Will. I'm not caught up on the Twitter drama, but I will listen intently.
Yeah,
and I
try to stay out of
whatever you need
drama.
Me to.
I don't engage in it very often, but with these tornadoes that happened in Dixie Alley, it's kind of brought to light some very poor chasing tactics that some people in the storm chasing community use. And look, I understand that for this tornado, there were some extenuating circumstances given the poor road network. I'm not talking about that, but I think it is something where, and look, I'm not one to say you can't do something, but I do think that storm chasers today need to have more awareness of what's actually going on and have more common sense about how they're chasing. You do not need to get 25 feet from a tornado to have a fantastic shot and to have a successful storm chase. Toyota Corollas are not meant to 0 meter a tornado.
No,
Can we stop 0 metering tornadoes?
Yes.
Please?
So again, I'm not caught up on any of the drama or whatnot, but I can, like we've talked about this before, you have to be very, very, very cautious. You have to be just not even cautious, like abundantly overly cautious. And if you're not, shooting instruments into the tornado, you really don't need to be that close. And look, you will get a just as good of a picture, actually probably a better picture farther back.
Yeah. All my photos are from like a mile and a half, 2 miles away from a tornado, and they look fantastic.
Leave the 0 metering to the professionals, please.
And, I see it's rather unfortunate, but Reed Timmer kind of got called out a little bit about from this on Twitter. And I think that's really kind of sparked my anger towards this a little bit, with people blaming him for this and his whole the never stop chasing mantra and being publicly a very aggressive storm chaser. But here's the difference. Reed Timmer has been chasing since 1998, 99,
something like
and
that.
He has his PhD and he knows what he's looking at, and he's built armored vehicles to intercept tornadoes. Note how he doesn't 0 meter tornadoes in his Subaru. He doesn't do that. He will occasionally. He's Reed Timmer. But exactly, he's Reed Timmer. You are not Reed Timmer.
Stop and the difference is Reed actually does research. That's the big overarching difference. Like, if you're just going to get a picture, you don't need to be close. And in fact, you're probably more of a danger to other people and yourself if you're closer than you need to be. Because chaser traffic is a thing.
Yeah, convergence is awful. But now also in case of the Rolling Rock tornado that just happened, there were storm chasers who, and again, I understand some of them were kind of bad circumstances, but also, why are you northeast of a tornado moving northeast at 50 miles an hour? Mm-hmm. Not what I would have done, but again, I'm not going to tell anyone what they can and can't do. But now you're a part of the search and rescue on the wrong side of it. Even if you help people afterwards, someone has to come help you as well, which takes away from the people who actually need help inside their homes. Uh-huh. And I've seen some people posting, constantly reminding people, I was inside this tornado and then I did search and rescue. Nobody cares. Stop it.
Yeah.
No, you're not there for your own personal glory. Just help people. We don't need to monetize helping people. People, come on.
Base. Dang, I didn't know we should have debuted the based reflectivity
I guess
segment,
so.
the hot
Jeez.
take segment. But yeah, we
You
could
just
have.
got me a little fired up with that.
No, but you're right. You're right. If you're gonna go out, stay out of the way. And I say that as someone who stays out of the way. I don't. I've never been too close on purpose. I've been too close on accident.
Mistakes happen.
Mistakes
We all
happen.
understand that, and if you admit to making a mistake, it's fine.
And
We all get
but the thing about mistakes is, in this line of work, your first mistake could be your last mistake.
exactly.
Like you have to be so careful.
I knew people at OU, and I don't know if I should actually say this. This is going to get OU in trouble. I'm just going to drop that. I'm going to drop that point.
We'll say
I'm going
this.
to drop that point.
we'll put a pin in it with this. When you're out chasing, if you're not doing research, please just kind of stay back. You're endangering yourself, but most importantly, you're endangering other people with chaser traffic jams. If you are chasing and you come across, destruction or like a destroyed town or something, you stop chasing. Like your chase is over with. You start helping those people. And and this is all this is like unspoken rules that I didn't think we had to tell people.
Well, the problem is there's a bunch of younger people, and I love that these younger people are out there chasing their passions. I love that. But
because we were them once.
Exactly. But you got to have experience to do this. Like, storm chasing is not as simple as the HER says there's going to be tornadoes here. I'm going to go
show up
here and just follow the tornado.
Go to the brightest color in the SPC Outlook.
You got to understand that typically tornadoes will make right and left turns, right? And sometimes initially they'll make a little bit of a right turn, and the supercell will slow down and make a right turn. And then when they start to deviate and die, they'll make a hard left turn. You got to be prepared for that stuff. You got to know what you're looking at. If you're a young chaser, I highly recommend that you start out chasing with
somebody
and staying farther away.
It's a grandfathering thing, right?
And always have escape routes. Always.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't chase Dixie.
Yeah, that's the real rule. What is the wise mantra of our most esteemed Dr. Kevin Clazel?
Don't chase
east of 35. That's right. Don't turn your back to a tornado. Don't chase east of 35. Which actually is kind of a problem because we're getting more and more tornadoes in the south. But
yeah, and I also think that Dixie Alley is people don't realize how active, especially this time of year, Dixie Alleys. And you look at every super outbreak, it's always Dixie Alley. It's just the way things are. Storm motions in Dixie are just completely different than in the plains. You're getting 50 to 60 to 70 mile an hour storm motions. You can get these giant rain-wrapped wedges that nobody can see. It's a mess.
Well, hey, yeah, that's a great chance to segue into the actual analysis. We'll cap the Twitter drama with this. Be safe. Don't do stupid things. And when people are in help, when people need help, I should say, or are in need of help, help them graciously without bragging about it. That's it. That's all you got to cover.
Yep.
All right. Now that we've angered people, we'll go ahead and switch to, thankfully, the SPC's event summary, which I didn't realize they did these event summaries so quickly after the fact. I thought these kind of came about like a couple weeks after the fact, but this is like already put together.
Yeah, they're good with getting them out.
So, all right, let's. What do we want to start with?
It's a good question. I guess just the overall. I guess the categorical risk first.
Okay, yeah, let's start with the day 3. So this was the day 3. So 3 days out.
It's started as enhanced, so it was already starting out, mildly concerning, but then it really ramped up.
And I think it's worth pointing out before we get too deep into this. This is kind of a two-part event because the first, like, not half, but the first segment of this event happened, started kind of in North Texas, Texoma, Central Oklahoma. Because obviously these systems are moving eastward. And I think there were 2 tornadoes reported in North Texas. There was some winds. There's some bad hail, I think. But pretty much that was it. And it sounds kind of callous to say that was it. Oh, they only had 2 tornadoes. That was it. But yeah, the bigger impact was definitely to the east. And I think it's more fruitful to kind of analyze. That's not a word. Analyze the Dixie part of the outbreak, because the North Texas part of the outbreak was pretty standard. And it's not like this isn't like, I don't know. I'm getting lost trying to think of what I'm saying.
No, it's kind of your typical like lower end kind of early spring plains severe event. It was the hail and the strong wind was kind of the primary threat with that, and then it kind of moved into a better. The problem was all the moisture was trapped off in Dixie Alley with this event, so you're not going to get anything too crazy out.
So that's a good point, right? If I'd thought about that, I would have pulled up some wind surface maps, but winds at the surface, literally just flooding in off the Gulf. So lots of moist air. Winds aloft, pretty much heading straight east. So a lot of shear in that environment, but also a lot of surface moisture. And that would definitely help these pop off. So here's that probabilistic graph. Again, this is day 3. So typically the rule of thumb is the farther back the days are, like a slight risk is a slight risk on day 2, day 1, day 3. It's just, it's that what is it, 15%?
Something like that. Yeah.
But like when you see a slight risk on day 7 or day 8,
you know it's going to be a pretty like what we have coming up this week with,
because that shows certainty. And so like when we're certain about an event that far out, it means that it's likely going to be a pretty big event. Like we're pretty.
It's 30% day 5.
Right? Yeah. I know. We'll talk about that too. We got a lot to cover today.
Yeah, we do.
So yeah, this is the. The probabilistic, and so the hatched zone means that that's more severe. So it's like.
Yeah.
You could have some hail in the yellow zone, but like the parts of the yellow zone that are hatched mean that the hail is going to be bigger.
Yeah.
Right. Is that kind of a good way?
Yeah, there's an increased chance of having some incredibly severe events.
Significant severe weather. Yes, so like everything's severe in this, but the significant severe is important. Like
say we have our tornado scale, and for one example, they consider any tornado EF2 and above to be significant severe versus EF0, EF1.
And then there's a tier above that, above significant, right? Isn't that
there's I don't know about for that. I think sig severe is kind of all they use for the hatched. But when you get up to they're to moderate and then high risk, you're definitely looking at.
I don't mean. I just mean as far as terminology goes, not necessarily in the graph.
I don't think so. I think significant severe is kind of the strongest they have. I mean, if you're going by say warning criteria, I mean, PDS, but
the warning criteria.
Yeah, if there's a exceedingly dangerous event that's ongoing, or is possible during the day, they'll put out a particularly dangerous situation watch or warning, which just indicates that any weather that does happen within that watch area has the potential to be extremely dangerous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so terminology wise, there's some just some kind of I guess rankings there about severe weather, significant severe, and then when things really go bad. So I'm just gonna read the summary because we probably don't have to go through the whole thing. Supercell thunderstorms capable of all severe hazards, including strong tornadoes. Strong tornadoes is again important because again that's higher than EF2. Across lower Mississippi Valley on Friday. So that's part of. Did we think to? I think they have them here. Okay, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Okay. Do we want to go to what next? We can just keep going, please.
Yeah, just keep going.
Day 2.
Look at moderate increase. So as the event gets nearer, the event kind of started looking a little bit better. You'll it's very, 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 very rare. In fact, I'm not entirely sure if a moderate day 3 has happened. I'm sure it has. I haven't personally seen it.
I think it has. I feel like what was it? May 19th, 2020. May 19th, 2020. The big bus day where we had
the one that had the supercell. Her was printing supercells over Oklahoma.
We actually had a high categorical risk, which is super rare, and everyone was like, and it was right over central Oklahoma. Everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, it's the end of the world! It's gonna be tornado outbreak."
In the wise words of Oklahoma meteorologist Mike Morgan, this is May 3rd all over again.
I just thought of a segment for our hot takes segment. A topic for our hot takes segment.
Okay.
It might involve Mike Morgan.
Oh boy.
Another time. We'll talk about that another time. So yeah, here's the hatch. So yeah, this is going to be a bad event. You can kind of tell even from day 2. They do have upper air analysis. So let's check out the 712Z. So yeah, green lines, that's moisture dew point gradients. So you can see there's just tons and tons and tons of moisture in the south. There's also this really digging trough, upper air trough, that's booking its way kind of towards the northeast, which all this is typical setup. But like, here, I'll even go to 500. So let's compare the 500 and see kind of where these wind barbs are pointing towards northeast. Excuse me. Compared to the 925, and those are pointing so northeast. Some of these just straight pointing north, meaning a lot of that flow from the Gulf at the surface is just bringing tons of moisture. Very, very standard setup.
Yeah, definitely. The moisture was definitely readily available across the south that day. It was I don't know exactly what dew points were at initiation, but it was pretty good.
What SKU-T do we want? Actually, let's go ahead and continue with our day 1.
Yeah.
Let's see about this one. These are all going to be pretty much the same.
Yeah, be at the day
we can
1.
Just do the most recent one.
Yeah, they might have the tornado probs on there for day 1 if you scroll down. I don't remember exactly what it was.
Winds, large. Yeah, there's the large hail. So the large hail is actually not too bad. Oh, they didn't have torrid probs.
Is that not it right there?
Oh no, it is. Duh.
Okay.
I just went past it.
Yeah, is that 15% hatch? That's. I know it doesn't sound high to anyone who doesn't readily look at the Storm Prediction Center, but 15% because what they use it's 15% chance of there being a tornado within every 25 miles.
Yeah, so it's probability of a tornado within 25 miles of a point.
Yeah,
so
and so 15% is pretty significant for that.
So at any point in this red circle, within 25 miles, there's a 15% chance. And so, like, you kind of get into, like, weird 3D math, and it hurts my brain. I'm not very math-oriented. But, like, this is, like, vector calculus. But
Yeah, it's but
essentially
15% is fairly high.
it's
To
yeah,
get a
essentially that's a very
15%
high.
hatched is you're looking at a fairly significant tornado setup for
Hmm.
sure.
And again, the setup, like plenty of moisture, plenty of shear, plenty of lift. Um, this is a pretty
Yeah,
significant
it,
event,
it was a very, very classic
and
severe weather setup.
something I think a lot of people, not that they purposely discount it, but like a lot of people forget about flash aerial floods. Like this is planted right over the Mississippi River,
Oh yeah, that area is
so
flooded
there's a
all the time.
lot of possible aerial flooding or riverbank flooding.
Yeah, and you wouldn't think that typically with kind of if you're looking at normal Dixie supercells because they kind of tend to race off and not train over an area. But this event, well, I guess I'll kind of get into a little bit more. Some of my thoughts on that a little bit later as you get more into it. But it did end up turning into a bit of a squall line MCS type of situation. So you're getting kind of training rain over the same areas for hours.
Hmm. I'm trying to see if there's anything in this I want to read. Do they have satellites on these? Save satellites?
Um, it's a good
I don't
question. I
see
don't
any.
recall.
And by the way, this is centered over the 24th. Like I mentioned, there was some stuff in North Texas that was on the 23rd. Um, and then there was some stuff, like we mentioned, with the tiger enclosure, that was the 25th. But again, we're focusing on the 24th because that had the most action and is really the most clear cut example of how these systems work and why they kind of function the way they do. Yeah, so we can go ahead and see the watches. So, right off the bat, severe thunderstorm watch, and well, no, tornado watch. Sorry, I get the colors mixed up. The watch polygon colors need a redo. I think there's another.
Yeah, they
We're just
are a
full of hot
little.
takes today.
Yeah, hey, I'm here for it.
So yeah, so these boxes started popping up pretty quick in the day. That's 1:30, and yeah, this one's labeled urgent as well. So
Yeah, it started a little bit to the east. And I can't remember. It's just kind of because the later stuff is kind of dominating my remembrance of this event. I do think there definitely were some supercells back towards Louisiana. I don't remember exactly how many there were to be honest, or if they produced. I think they definitely. I think that there was one or two. I'm thinking that in the storm reports, I'm sure there are. I'm probably gonna look up more on here for not remembering something that happened.
yeah, and you know, we've talked about kind of where all this is setting up, but it is important to like because they highlight on these public outlooks. Like, look at all the big cities here:
Yeah,
Greenville,
and this
Monroe,
is such a
Memphis,
well forecast event
Little
location
Rock.
wise. Where this highest probability was set up and where it ended up being, it was incredibly well forecast by the SPC.
Yes, that's one thing I commented to my father this morning. I was like, the SPC nailed this one.
Yeah.
They nailed it. Again, it was a pretty cut. I don't want to, make it sound like when they don't get it as accurate, it's like a big mess up. This was a pretty standard setup, but it is always I always like to pat the SPC on the back when they
It's
do
not
this.
easy
It's
predicting
not,
kind of where. I mean, how many
especially
times? Yeah.
especially like to kind of this scale. So if you
Hmm.
think about it, that's like, oh gosh, I'm gonna guesstimate that's like I don't know, like maybe 25 counties.
It's probably a lot in there. It's and then you got to factor in. That's not the only area where the severe weather is going to be happening. You have to kind of take in that entire area with the the marginal, slight, and then enhanced. That's in there as well. It's not easy what they do, and that's why there's only so many people who do it.
We really need to get some SPC forecasters, someone on this.
That'd be nice.
As
That'd
a
be
guest,
nice.
and just kind of have them go through how they, because it is difficult. It's a very.
And I know every storm chaser on the face of the planet thinks they can do what the SPC does, but to be able to coordinate it with. Is this a video they have?
This is I did not.
They
know
do
did
this
these.
occasionally.
I didn't know they did this
occasionally on some higher end events.
So we have 905Z, 1251Z, 1643Z, and 2031Z. Do you want to watch any of these particularly?
I don't know if we need to watch. It's probably just going to be kind of going over kind of what we're doing now. So
I'm actually not really sure what they do. I'm just kind of skip.
Yeah, I think they just kind of go over the outlook.
Oh.
It's more
actually,
for local EMS more so.
This might. Okay, yeah, we probably don't have to watch that. Maybe we'll do one day,
yeah,
but
see, let me think. What's the closest sounding to the Rolling Fork tornado? I'm trying to think of the big.
Do you have a time on that?
It might be. Is it not there? They might have.
Oh, sounding's up here. They don't have it like labeled. It's just by time.
Okay.
I just don't know what time that happens.
It was later. It was later in the day. It might be the 0Z sounding would probably be pretty good from the 25th.
From the 25th,
I think. The 25th or 26th? I can't remember.
Actually, hey, real quick, I do want to. Oh, come on. There we go. I do want to point out the storm reports. So.
Oh, we go.
Before we move on to the next day. So, see how all these reports, these tornado reports, are kind of in a straight line?
Yep, followed the path.
Those, I'm pretty sure that's one.
Yeah, it was that one
path.
main supercell. The thing was on the ground, or not on the ground, but the mesocyclone in that thing lasted forever. I mean, that thing did not want to die.
So I saw somewhere, I saw somewhere it was like one of the early reports was that it was 100-mile long track, and that ended up not being true.
Yeah,
it ended up being like a 59-mile track, and then like a
it roped out briefly, and then put down another one.
And so do you think that should count as one track? Should we count the mesocyclone as the track, or when it's on the ground? No,
I don't think so, because there's so much that goes into tornado dynamics that you almost there's a whole. I'm not going to get into it. They'd be here forever, but there's a whole host of things that have to go into making a tornado, and it's not just the mesocyclone. And sometimes tornadoes can even form from ground up, as we're finding out now with some new research. So it's there's a lot that kind of goes into it.
Yeah, I'm kind of that mind. On one hand, I could see we almost need two separate ones. We almost need a mesos track and a tornado track.
Yeah, and just to kind of, the parent supercell is the main thing there. You can't have a tornado without that. So.
Yeah. Which one did you want to look at?
Let me see. Let me think.
Okay, they actually have it in standard time, so I'm going to have to go back. Yeah, 0Z on the 25th is on the 24th page, because they actually went to the trouble of separating out by local time, which I really appreciate, because my monkey lizard hybrid brain can't. It takes me a minute to understand UTC.
Let me see here. So yeah, the 0Z sounding, I guess here from central Mississippi. I think it's Jackson. It's not the Cape that's so fascinating about this sounding.
Actually, I'm kind of looking at all of them here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the 0Z, I'm just kind of off the top of my head.
So this is Birmingham, right? Okay. And if you, I'm just going to kind of compare a few that are in the area. So this is Birmingham, BMX. The
I know
only
how
reason I know that is because of the all-star sounding I had to do
the
in
dew
college.
points are and low level moistures not nearly as good that far east.
Uh-huh. And so I think it's kind of good for
Some
kind of
noticeable straight line
establishing where
winds.
kind of the rich, moisture-rich zone is. So obviously this is too far east. Kind of look up by. Actually, no. Let's just go. Let's just go to it. So Arkansas here. No, not Arkansas.
It's definitely north of the boundary. Yeah.
Well, and you can see too. Look how like close the dew points are.
Yeah,
Too.
it's
very.
it's a pretty moist, low level atmosphere, but temperatures just aren't quite warm. I mean, 58 over 56 is not going to get it done in terms of supercell development.
Well, and look at here. Let me zoom out a bit. Look at the shear on it too.
Oh yeah, it's not even cyclonic. It's
No.
yeah, that's yeah. Your 0 to 3 SRH is negative 129. You're gonna get a ton of left splits there if you got anything, but
I still want to see a left splitter.
it's yeah. I haven't seen one that really gets sustained. I haven't chased in that kind of atmosphere yet, but I'm sure that's pretty cool to see.
Okay, let me double check something real quick before I say something and make a fool of myself.
But yeah, as just to kind of fill the gap here, you can see that the moisture is pretty well contained to pretty much the Gulf states there. I think once you get up towards Arkansas, even Birmingham's a little out of the kind of best moisture that was available for this event. 80 over 59 isn't it? I think that's just it's nice and warm, but my rule of thumb is if it's below 60, I kind of spit on it a little bit in terms of if you want a tornado or expecting tornadoes. But once you get a little bit closer to the Gulf, you start to see way more juicy values for sure. That and even the wind shear's just way better down there. I know you're kind of looking at your thing here, but the wind shear out in Birmingham, since we already showed that, it's not awful. Actually, it's a pretty decently veered wind profile. Upper level shears a little bit, not a huge fan of it, but your 0 to 3 SRH is 157, which you can definitely work with that for sure.
Well, and I do want to point out again, we mentioned the difference between the surface winds and the upper level winds. Look how solid everything is from the south versus in the 700s, 500s.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of a weakness.
This
there.
is a good setup.
Yeah,
and it's not as moist at the surface either. But yeah, this is the 0 Z sounding, so that would be. Is Mississippi? They're still Central Time, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You can even just look comparing the Birmingham sounding to the Jackson, Mississippi sounding.
Yeah.
Yeah, 80 over 65, so that's way more moisture. 65, you're looking nice with those dew points. Your SRH is incredible. Your 0 to 3 is 345. And if you compare the 850 to 700 millibar winds to that, to Birmingham, you can clearly see where the low level jet is. It's right over that kind of southwest Mississippi area. You can see the strong winds there, about 700 millibars compared to in Birmingham, where we're looking at 25 knots there. It's not nearly as strong down there, but yeah,
I see.
It's a pretty nice, pretty good. The super slow motions bonkers. You 40 knot motions.
So the thing I was trying to look up that I was unsuccessful in is I'm really interested in comparing some of these soundings. Do you remember the product we used to use in, I think it was Sarah's class where it makes like a cross section between two soundings.
Yeah, I think that's on the College DuPage websites.
Okay. If it's going to be kind of hard to find, I'm not going to bother with it because we've
I
I
think
mean
it's
we've
on
pretty much
Pod.
broken it down well enough. But I was just curious because I was looking like Birmingham
Mhm.
and then like this triangle here, or even you can include like this little
Mhm.
square. I'd be interested to get some cross sections of that, but that's
Yeah, there's some cross sections here on COD if you go to
okay.
the weather analysis and then the analysis data. It's there.
Okay, I'm gonna try and find that real quick.
Let's see. They have LIX to Green Bay.
Do you already
That's
have
not
it, do
exactly
you already have
what I
it pulled
want.
up?
Yeah,
Can you
it's not great
can
though.
you just
The
drop it in the
cross.
Discord?
Yeah, the
Oh,
cross
unless
section
you don't
isn't.
think it's worth bringing up.
I don't really think so. It's kind of not an
Okay.
area that I would have liked to see cross sections for this. So
Okay.
it's
Cool.
kind of yeah.
That's fine then.
If it was, it's one problem. They have those set sites that they go between that you can't really change.
Oh, so it's not between just any sounding. It's set ones.
No, they have
Oh,
set
that's
sites
lame.
there.
That's
Yeah,
lame.
it's a little annoying, but I won't. College
Okay.
of
Well.
DuPage puts out a lot of great
Yeah,
material.
I will
So.
never. I will never diss College of DuPage except for that. That was kind of lame. But that'd be a cool product to expand.
Yeah, it
If we could
would.
get more.
I'm sure it would. The data hosting for it though would be a pain in the butt.
Oh yeah. So actually, one of the things we mentioned on Twitter, or I should say, you mentioned on Twitter because you're running Twitter now. Thank you, by the way.
Having fun with it.
Let's see. Okay, yeah. So you asked, how do we feel about the new mesoscale discussions? How do you feel about the new mesoscale discussions?
I like them. They're everyone's gonna miss the squiggles, the old red squiggles. That
I'm gonna miss the
looks
squiggles too.
I will miss the squiggles. It's a
The squiggles are
it's what
near
I've
and dear
grown
to
up
my
with.
heart.
But the new design is much clearer, and I was fully on board. They put out an MD, and they can add so much stuff to them now with the new software that they're using. I saw an MD map that had it was the tornado watch with a hodograph map underneath of it, which
Ooh,
was
which one is that?
awesome. I don't remember exactly which one it was, but it
Okay.
was incredible. That's the kind of stuff I'm here for sure.
I am gonna go
I think the designs.
switch to.
There's the old squiggle.
Yeah, so I pulled up a squiggle. This is from the same event, by the way. So the good old squiggles.
Classics.
May you rest in peace.
They still bust them out every now and again. They
Do
kind
they?
of like go back and forth. It's weird.
So we still have our squiggles. It's like someone took a Arby's curly fry and just stretched
Yeah.
it. Yeah, so these are what they used to look like. And now, oh wow, I selected the one that isn't that. There we go.
There it is.
Yeah, so now they have these really dynamic ones with a lot more info that you can really get.
It's a cleaner design.
It's a cleaner design. It's more modern looking.
You can put more info on them now.
But yeah,
and MDs are huge. I mean, that MDs are basically the near term evolution of storms and environments. So the information that you can put on there is paramount in importance.
So, by the way, if any of our viewers know what the C stands for, please let us know. We know that the M stands for mesoscale and the D stands for discussion. But we don't know what the C stands for.
No, I just
do you?
That.
What is it?
I'm stupid. It's mesoscale convective discussion.
That makes sense. Mesoscale convective discussion. Got it.
I'm
kind of mad at myself for not thinking about that. But yeah, I like the new mesos. They're very clean.
Yeah, they're nice.
And they're very informative. Do we want to just kind of run through some of these, or?
Sure, go for it. It's kind of, I mean, it's really just kind of detailing the evolution of the events. So, I mean,
well, we'll start with number 321, which is
That was early on.
the old one. Yes. So yeah, this is from Friday at 12:50 p.m. So again, they're like, yeah, this is the zone. And again, as we mentioned, it started out in North Texas. So this is before it kind of got to Dixie Alley. But yeah, this is how it evolved. So like starting kind of in the, what's it called? I'm sure it's down here.
Texarkana area.
The one that includes Louisiana. Texla-ana or something like that.
Oh yeah, something.
Texla-cana, something.
It's all basically
Texas,
It's
Arkansas,
Louisiana,
Louisiana.
Part 2. That whole area is
It's
just
this.
Louisiana, B and C.
It's the corner. So yeah, so as this surface pressure's making its way, it kind of evolved because this is in the overnight hours too. Wind gusts was the next big concern, and then that moves into damaging wind and hail risk, as you see here. But as that sun comes up and starts getting more convection and the low pressure kind of gets some more oomph to it, we start to see more possibility for tornadoes. And that's kind of where we're at by the time it's positioned over the deep south. We start getting more cellular development, more rotation, less focused on the wind and the hail and more on the tornadoes.
Yeah, it definitely moved into a more moisture-rich environment that allowed for some lower LCLs and stronger mesocyclones to go up for sure.
I'm going to skip a bit. Oh, hey, look, they have the symbol. Yay. You don't see the symbol much.
No, you don't.
We all everybody knows what it is, but you don't really see it used very often.
You have to really look at surface maps to really see it. And
who wants to use those?
Yeah, not enough people look at surface maps.
No, you should. Surface maps are cool.
You should. They're good.
Also, I never realized how twisty the Mississippi River is. Oh my gosh!
Oh yeah,
look at it go, dude.
It's all over the place there.
It's really just.
It's out there doing its own thing. Yet another obstacle in the way of chasing down there, and another reason to not chase. Crossings there are fairly irregular.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's basically the setup. That's generally...
Yeah, and boy, did it produce.
It did. So let's go ahead and transition to that real quick. Go ahead and this. So, yeah, so we... I guess it's time for Twitter Corner.
Yeah.
Now. So we have... do we... let's see... I want to be careful with attribution here. We don't want to just use other people's video, but I think if we just kind of talk about it and not really show the video outright.
Yeah.
I think we're good. So I'm going to go ahead and switch back to this. And so again, not going to play the video because we don't want to use Mr. Rigsby's property without his knowledge.
By the way, Aaron's a fantastic storm chaser.
Yes,
I highly suggest you go follow.
I think both of us are fans here.
Yeah, Aaron's great.
Yeah, but yeah, you should go ahead and check out Aaron if you don't. But look at, I'm assuming this is from his front windshield.
Yeah, I mean that thing is just violent. You can just see it. You can even see the little vortice off to the side there.
Yep, I was looking at that.
That's just a tornado that you don't want to mess around with at all.
No, and also the look how low the visibility is on the road. Like there's a lot
I mean they're probably getting
there's a lot of low level.
Yeah, they managed to find a field there that they were in. I'm sure the inflow into that thing was just ripping and pulling dirt and whatever else into that thing. That might even be, I can't tell. I'm not sure if they were ahead or behind the tornado. It's either an inflow jet, or it's the kind of the forward inflow jet, or it's the rear inflow jet. The kind of what they call the ghost train.
The ghost train. Let's think this out, right? So we have the little side vortices to the right.
Yeah, it's tough to really tell what way it's moving there. If I had to guess, it's probably moving left to right. So that would make them kind of behind it a little bit. So that might be the rear inflow jet, if I had to guess.
Well, don't. I didn't mean that. Go back. Okay, never mind. Go forward. Yeah.
There we go.
So, what I was going to say was, I thought side vortices were usually kind of on the eastern side. Am I thinking of that wrong?
I'm gonna be honest. I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
That would kind of make sense in the idea that you're adding some forward momentum into the already strong wind speeds. You're getting enhanced wind speeds, maybe a little bit of enhanced vorticity there. So it wouldn't surprise me if that was the case.
Okay. I was hoping I'm not as savvy on kind of the
issue is when you get close to a tornado like that, kind of the typical dynamics do tend to break down ever so slightly, and so it's dominated by pressure field. So I'm not really 100% sure on that.
Yeah. So here's our next tweet, and again, praying for the folks in Rolling Fork there. You can see from that picture how
things.
It's a very, very,
very highly visible. For
very
Dixie
photogenic.
Alley.
Yeah,
I think this is backlit by lightning, so in all actuality, it's darker. And for the most part, you can't really see it. But I'm surprised it wasn't more rain wrapped.
So, do you see that?
Look at that thing! Look at that thing!
That to me looks like another
little satellite tornado.
Yeah,
possible. It wouldn't surprise you with a tornado that strong.
Obviously, we have no way of confirming that, but
yeah, it could have been what's left over from a horizontal vortex as well. But again, with a tornado that's that strong, I mean,
yeah, good stuff. Here. And then, so yeah, some of the damage. Really, well, you can see it. This used to be a Family Dollar. That doesn't look like a Family Dollar. That looks like...
No, I mean, my heart goes out to everybody impacted by this. The EF4 tornado is capable of, especially in communities like this where the building quality and structures may not be top-notch materials and can kind of be more readily damaged by somewhat weaker tornadoes. I know everyone was looking at the damage that initial night and saying, "Oh, it's an EF5." You can't tell.
You can't tell. You can kind of tell on EF5s because the rule of thumb for EF5s is no standing structures.
Yeah,
and there were I saw pictures of standing structures. So
and again, yeah, exactly.
Now it could have been a 5 at one point, but
just not when it hit something, which is a problem of the Fujita scale. It's one of its limitations. If you don't hit anything, you can't rate it kind of how you want to rate it.
And we actually talked about this on the fabled, legendary Lost Valentine's Day episode that never actually went out.
Forgot about that, yeah.
But I think both of us and a lot of meteorologists want to see the Fujita scale move towards something that's like the way we do hurricanes. In that it's wind speed based. The problem is we don't have a reliable way of measuring consistent wind speeds that isn't just kind of a radar guesstimate.
Yeah, and even mobile radars are questionable at times in their accuracy and how high up they're looking. It's
the reason it's
as for all the shortcomings, the enhanced Fujita scale is still probably the best way of going about it.
For now, until we get better methods. The EF scale is great for now, but
now the one thing I will add to that is I think another revision of the enhanced Fujita scale. So, enhanced part 2 Fujita scale may be needed as we get farther into the future and building codes become better. EF4, EF3 tornadoes may not do the same level of damage as they used to, simply because we're building better buildings.
Yeah, that's true. You could see that scale kind of evolve every 10 years potentially. But the reason it's so easy relatively to scale hurricanes is because we fly planes through hurricanes all the time. They're relatively slow moving systems, so you can just fly a bunch of planes through, get that accurate wind speed, and you're good. We can't do that with tornadoes.
Hurricanes are hundreds of miles wide and are moving at 5 to 10 miles per hour for the most part, and last upwards of a week, whereas a tornado may last 1 to 2 minutes and is a few hundred meters across. It's not. It's far more difficult. Even everyone tries to put probes in the path of tornadoes, and it's just not. It's very tough. This is the Amory tornado.
I'm glad you included this. I saw this picture. Look at the hook.
It's such a boy. Does a radar image ever just scream strong tornado? And the reason
do we have a correlation coefficient to go with this?
I'm sure there is. I think there is one. I think it was bottomed out. I don't remember exactly where. I didn't send one. I don't
That's
remember
okay.
where it was. But the reason that this tornado is a little bit, it kind of caught my attention is the way it evolved was very similar to the Norman one a few weeks ago, where it was a part of a QLCS system, and all of a sudden you get this supercell in that system that kind of semi-detaches from the line, even though it's still connected. It's kind of its own thing that you can see with how wet the RFD is there. It's still part of the line.
There a... oh, go ahead, sorry.
But yeah, the low-level wind shear ahead of this, I think, was really ramping up ahead of this.
Is there a term for that? I may have already asked you this. Is there a term for a QL semi-discrete? It's kind of...
it's and it also evolved very similar to the Northern one, where after it started the weekend, it turned into a bookend vortex, into an MCV. It was a very similar evolution process there.
I wonder if we're going to see more of these as we I wonder if it's a pattern where we have La Nina in just the right spot, or if it's a warming effect.
Yeah, I mean that's a good question, because typically I think this year so far has been kind of the year of some lower Cape, or where Cape's not outstanding. You're getting less open warm sector supercells, and you're getting more of these quasi QLCS semi-discrete supercells that are forming. I think it's just the way the pattern's lining up right now is we're getting better alignment between that these kind of maybe lower end Cape events, but higher shear events that are just lining up right this year. It's tough to really tell. It could even be just that the overall pattern and set up before, supercells and tornadoes are very driven by temperature perturbations as well. And so maybe without this sort of cold pool from a QLCS wet RFD, maybe otherwise that doesn't form a tornado. It's kind of tough to...
We talked about this in our most recent episode with Colton, but want to point out again, look how close this thing is to the radar.
Boy, radars have been getting some great data this year.
Radars,
fantastic stuff.
This is the year of the radar. They're doing really good, but yeah, very. Oh wait, no, I didn't mean to do that. I was trying to follow him, but we already followed him. So yeah, we got again these weird half embedded.
That's the Amory.
These are just bizarre.
Right there.
These are
that's
weird.
That's the same storm, just kind of more zoomed out. Look how it's still a part of the line. It's still a part of that line, but it's also discrete in its own way as well. The RFD is directly connected to that QLCS.
Would you call it semi-discrete?
I would. It's semi-discrete in that I think it's kind of operating on its own, but it's still getting influences from the QLCS. Because if you look, it's got nothing but an open warm sector right ahead of it, but it's got the cold pool of the QLCS behind it. But it's kind of it's an interesting setup for sure.
It's weird. I just know there's a banger term somewhere for this. I just don't know what it is. Maybe we'll come up with it.
Elongated supercell. It's a long boy.
Long man. Okay, so I do want to go back and see what he said. These low cape. Oh well, that's kind of what you were talking about. These low cape, high shear environments very hostile for supercell formation. Sometimes intense forcing is needed to support strong enough storms to produce high-end hazards. In other words, upscale growth can be necessary. And so, yeah, like this is not a environment for a supercell typically, and yet here one is embedded in a line.
And by stronger forcing, what he's referring to is typically these squall lines will form out ahead of a cold front. And what you can picture a cold front as is kind of a wedge of air that's forcing air upwards out ahead of it. So you have this warm air that's getting pushed up by the cold air advancing, and that upward motion is what triggers these storms.
I just want to point out this is one of the most beautiful slinkies I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, look at the low-level curvature on that.
Wow. It's like...
That's nice.
It's like when you're watching, like... Not that I frequently watch professional bowling, but the one time I think I've seen professional bowling, and, like, some Chad just runs up and throws the ball and just makes this beautiful like arc. That's what that reminds me of.
Is this the weather version of Who Do You Think You Are? I Am?
Yeah, probably. Okay, we did this one. So yeah, look, there's another.
Yeah, that's the horizontal vortex.
Good old Aaron
look at
again.
that thing. I mean,
Wow.
That's just whenever you see a horizontal vortex, you know you have a violent tornado ongoing, and I think the damage and the final rating kind of indicate that as well. It's not often you get that. There's some pretty strong local dynamics happening within that tornado that I'm sure are fascinating to dive into, and the computing power probably to try to replicate that is probably, I don't even know if we have it.
Man, it's and when we say photogenic, obviously because these are nighttime, early morning, light isn't good, but the fact that it's not just wrapped in rain.
Yeah, typically in these Dixie Alley events, especially when it's connected to this wasn't the Amory tornado, so this was an open sector supercell. It was all by itself, but typically in Dixie Alley you'll get storms that. So we categorize supercells in three different ways. You have your classic supercells, which is kind of your normal moderate amount of precip. Could get an occasional rain wrap tornado, but it might peak back out afterwards. You can get a low precip supercell, which tend to be less conducive to tornado genesis, but can be very, very photogenic because there's very little precipitation in these things. You can see the entire structure. And then there's HP supercells, which is what dominate Dixie Alley, which is just a blob of rain that you can't see anything else.
Yeah. Remember all that moisture we were talking about flooding in from the Gulf? That's why. HP supercells, the reason they're high precip is because there's just so much precipitable moisture.
Yeah.
But yeah, very, very photogenic as far as not being rain wrapped. And this little
very reminiscent of Birmingham, or not Birmingham, excuse me, Tuscaloosa.
Well, one and the same, essentially, the same outbreak.
Yeah. But they pretty much tornado also had one very, very similar to that.
Yes,
Andover, I think. Did Andover have one up in Kansas last year? I think Reed got one on there. I can't remember. All I know is that was a violent tornado. It might have. I love this. This is
so yeah.
Sam
Here's
Emerson, grad student at the University of Oklahoma. he does some very, very fantastic research relating radar and predicting tornado strength, which is something that, as we mentioned, kind of not able to do at this point. And his algorithm that he's created is pretty damn good at guessing tornado strength, given rotation strength and the height of what we call a tornado debris signature.
Mm-hmm.
So, what Colin was mentioning there is.
Oh, go ahead.
No, if you want to take this.
No.
Okay.
You feel this one.
If you look in the bottom right corner of this radar image, you see kind of all this mass of purple, and then you see the blue dot in the center. And so what this radar is looking at is it's looking at kind of how things are moving through the air. And so when they're more uniform, they're those purples and they're nice and uniform. But the blue is indicating things tumbling through the air. So we use that whenever it's co-located with velocity couplet, like it's just above it. You see those bright greens and reds touching. That usually indicates tornado debris being wafted into the air.
Can I demonstrate correlation coefficient?
Go for it.
Okay, wait, maybe not. I had a golf ball in my desk drawer at one point, and I was gonna. Okay, maybe not. So I'm gonna switch to 2 bucks here so you can see it better. So the idea here is correlation coefficient picks up the roundness is one way to put it, but like a ball, right? If you imagine a ball, that's a very uniform shape. And so things like hail are very uniformly shaped. Things like raindrops, even though they're elongated from, they're still, I mean, they're kind of like ovally, but like.
Yeah, but because they're falling,
they're still uniformly shaped. Something like this is not uniformly shaped. And not the only reason, but the main reason why something that isn't round is in the air is because it's been lofted by a tornado. So
the other correlation is hail.
Yes. Yeah, so not all hail, obviously, because you get that real like nasty spiky hail. Yeah. But and actually, that's probably what. Is there any hail signature here? I would say maybe kind of.
Let's see.
Maybe kind of this end would be my guess.
I think you have to pull it back up.
Oh, yes, of course. I'm sorry. My brain's not working either.
Yeah, I think either that's hail. It's kind of hard to really tell.
My guess is that
it could also be debris fall. It could very easily be hail. I think some of that probably is. Some of it might even be debris fallout a little bit from previous tornadoes. So it's it's probably a little bit of a combination of both.
Wow, this is a really good example. And like he mentioned, Sam's work is really, really interesting. If you have the opportunity, I really suggest kind of looking into what he does because he's got some really cool.
Yeah, it's fantastic stuff.
Yeah, so he said this lofted debris is over 30,000 feet.
It's getting up there. It's getting up there.
Let's see here. Velocity couplet above 80 knots.
It was a strong.
It is. I didn't even realize that's how.
That's a gate-to-gate shear. I mean, that's just gnarly. There's no other way to put it. It was a violent supercell.
It's okay. So what is this? I haven't actually seen this tweet. So this is
this is the probability of given TDS height and rotation.
So this is part of his.
Yeah.
Okay. Dang, this is cool.
Yeah, it's awesome stuff.
As
you can see, that tornado is very firmly entrenched in the potential EF4 category.
If he irons out this research, I could see this being like a standard graphic for NWS and SPC.
Mm-hmm.
This is cool. I didn't realize like this was part of that, what he was working on. Again, yeah. Look at right where it's.
Yep.
The peak wind speeds of VF4. That's nuts, dude. I'm not. Okay, so did he call it 100%?
Not sure.
Is that what this means?
I think he's just showing the code that ran and then showing what the code thinks the probabilities are.
Well, the code got it right.
Yeah. Well, this is the Amory tornado, I think. I don't think this is the Rolling Fork
okay.
one. I don't remember if the Amory one has that one been rated yet?
No, this is Rolling Fork.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Dang. Hang on.
Then yeah, it called it. Like I said, his stuff's usually pretty. If not,
like, what are we saying?
Nailing it, dead on.
Dead on. Is that what?
Or I don't know if I want to necessarily say that because obviously there's room for growth with all that stuff, but it's a very fantastic way of looking at potential tornado strength.
I was just saying really good stuff. Really good stuff. I really do.
Radar
like that.
has such untapped potential.
I haven't actually seen any of the products that he's been, like any of these graphical products.
Typically anytime there's a strong tornado somewhere, he'll put out something on it.
I guess I haven't been caught up on weather Twitter in a while. Okay, so what was this one? You shared this one.
Was this the SPC?
Yes.
Okay.
So we can watch this because it's a government.
This was really cool, and this is kind of the dumbed down version, I think.
It's actual 14 minutes. Do we want to do the whole thing?
I don't know if you want to watch the whole thing. Maybe just like make people aware of it because the expert meteorology edition is like 40 minutes long.
Okay.
It's really, it goes into, so basically we've been able to they ran simulations of the 2013 Moore EF5 tornado, and we're able to pick up on various details from both live footage of it, radar, and there's some really interesting stuff into the dynamics of how that formed. And they hired, I guess, artists to almost make a cartoon animation of how this tornado evolved. So I think he plays through. If you play through the first part,
we'll go and we'll play a few, like a minute or two, and
Broyles is legendary in the SBC. Everybody loves Broyles. You want to talk about a violent tornado? That was...
Yeah. More in general, really bad luck with tornadoes, but like really good luck in the sense of a lot of the more tornadoes have led to pretty big steps in how we understand some of these freak events. So it is horrible for all those folks, but we do get a little bit of knowledge out of some of these more dangerous events. So it's, you got it, and that's the thing. When you're surrounded by so much tragedy with these events, you have to kind of look for those silver linings, because
absolutely
one day we'll understand these things, and until then we have to just kind of deal with what we get and try and get better. Okay. Yeah, so that's his intro. But yes, everybody go check this out.
Cool. I highly suggest you go check out.
I haven't even seen this, so I'm going to go check it out later.
If you're not very well versed in the meteorology, watch the short version. If you have a meteorology background and kind of know what you're talking about a little bit, I highly suggest you go watch the extended version, which is about 20 to 25 minutes longer, and really goes into some of the real nitty gritty on exactly how that supercell and tornado evolved, what kind of led into it. It's some really profound stuff in there.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna have to check that out. I saw where you'd retweeted that, but I hadn't looked at it. So okay, well, I think that pretty much wraps up our coverage of Dixie South. Do we want to go ahead and try out our new segment?
Let's do it.
Okay, so I want to give a little preface, all right? And I'm excited about this because I'm not going to lie, I worked hard on this, and I'm happy with how it turned out. So, hey, Will, you ever watch the X-Files?
Of course.
You you kind of know what it's about,
Yeah.
If it's crazy, wacky,
Yeah.
ooh, aliens and stuff. Yeah. But what about I don't know, like some weird like weather stuff? It's kind of unexplainable, maybe.
You've piqued my interest.
Okay. So I worked on. By the way, this is kind of a bit because Will knows what the segment is, but Will has not seen this intro I made.
I'm not. I'm prepared for this.
So I'm gonna cross your fingers that this isn't gonna blast out everybody's eardrums and be too loud. But yeah, so we got a new segment. It's called the WX Files, and let's just hop right into it.
Oh, that's great. I love it.
You like that?
I love it.
Okay, cool. No. I'm glad. I was a little worried. You're like, oh, it's too long or something. But
my two favorite part is definitely the Sprite bottle, and then I was not expecting Ben Castle to make an appearance.
I was trying to recreate a very specific thing from the season 1 intro, which, you know what? Sure, we'll just get into it. All right. So I don't want to give away anything, but actually, wait. Let's do. So there is from the season 1 X-Files intro. There is a very weird frame of the intro where sorry, I can't multitask. So I'm not going to play it because I don't want to copyright or anything. But, like, there's just this random bit where, like, a screaming, like... and honestly, I swear, every time I see this, I think it looks like Alex Jones.
It kind of does.
Which is just so incredibly fitting. It's just so fitting. Okay, I'm done messing around.
Here is chemicals in the tornadoes that are downgrading their strength.
So here is our conspiracy of the day. All right, and we're not going to do this every episode. It's going to be every now and again. But this is from the intellectual powerhouse that is r/conspiracy.
Only the biggest of brains.
Only the giggest brains. And I will say, we're going to do kind of goofier ones because there are some kind of, there's some more serious topics in some of these conspiracy theories. And we might cover some more serious stuff at some point. But for a nice icebreaker, this one is not that. So this person said this is in relation to the Chinese spy balloon, which we talked about in our first episode, our first official episode. And there's even a clip about it on our YouTube channel, which you should go check out.
And eventually on the TikTok.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to finish editing that. I'm sorry.
No worries.
There'll be a TikTok one day.
TikTok might get banned in a week anyway.
Yeah. Well, I still got to edit for YouTube Shorts. But I forgot to edit something. That's the problem. Anyway, this was posted February 3rd, so it's been a while, 2 months. This person said,
"Gosh, was it that long ago? Holy cow."
Yeah, I know. It feels weird. There are thousands of weather balloons launched every day with 2 asterisks for some reason. Maybe you're being manipulated by media for clicks. Which is true. There are thousands of weather balloons launched every day.
Yes.
Will, why don't you explain why the big balloon is not a weather balloon?
Okay. Well, what's the easiest way?
It's actually before I'll let you formulate your thought. I'm going to go ahead and read his explanation.
Okay.
So his submission statement is, that's what SS is. Twice a day, every day of the year, weather balloons are released simultaneously from almost 900 locations worldwide. This includes 92 released by the National Weather Service in the U.S. and its territories. The media has started to obsessively cover a balloon, and everyone acts like it's the most incredible thing they've ever seen. Numerous posts on conspiracy saying this is an act of war with a high-altitude balloon floated on wind currents over a continent. Did you know that literally thousands of weather balloons are launched every day? This one is slightly more interesting, maybe, or maybe it's literally just a weather experiment. Here's all I'm suggesting. Be skeptical of what the media, including social media, desperately wants to trend. It's pretty clear this is being inflated, no pun intended, for clicks. They really, really want a balloon to trend. Maybe take a step back and don't get worked up into a fervor just because they told you to. So I agree with the sentiment. Don't get wrapped up in social media.
True.
Be skeptical of what you see. But this is just dumb. I'm sorry.
Yeah. For reason number one, weather balloons aren't the size of, I think it was 3 buses.
Yes, and I have some figures here too.
Yeah, as you can see, the balloon itself is barely larger than a person, and it's full of helium, and so it pops at a way lower altitude than where this balloon was.
Yeah, so let's we can get into that. So size-wise, it's just not even comparable. We have, so when it starts out, it's about 6 feet wide. And so obviously with less air pressure, as that balloon rises, it expands because there's less outside force to kind of keep it. And these things are designed to really expand. So as they rise, they expand to about 20 feet in diameter. 20 feet in diameter. Keep that in mind. Let's see how big the Chinese spy balloon was. 200 feet tall. So yeah, it's not comparable.
I want whatever weather probes on that. By the way, the weather probes that we put on these balloons that we launch up are styrofoam with some wiring.
It's a little styrofoam box.
It's roughly the size of this. They're not very big at all.
Do you know how big the payload was on the Chinese spy balloon?
How big was it?
The size of the payload... Oh, no, wait, that's the wrong thing. Where is it? I had it up here. Oh, surveillance payload the size of a regional passenger jet.
Yeah, I don't think it was a weather balloon, guys.
I don't think it was a weather balloon.
Just a wild idea. I don't think it was a weather balloon.
Might be a little controversial, but not a weather balloon. So yeah, there's no reason for a weather balloon to be that big. There's no reason for the sensors to be that big. But, and I do want to reiterate, this is what we talked about on that clip that you should go check out. The Chinese balloon was like in the middle of the stratosphere.
Which is well above.
Which is way higher than normal weather balloons go. So
we only care about the troposphere, really, for weather, and the stratosphere is the layer above that, and so.
And I mentioned this in the last time we talked about this. I could see the benefit of stratospheric readings. I don't think that you need a 200-foot balloon with a small plane attached to it, essentially,
no.
to study the stratosphere. You really don't.
No.
So, I'm very sorry, Benjamin Delta, but that's gonna have to be a.
Yeah, sorry, it's not a weather balloon. Trust me, I've seen people freak out over weather balloons landing in their backyard. We promise they're harmless. They're.
Oh my gosh! I just noticed this.
What does it say?
It's the first comment under his post. Shut up, you commie shill.
Oh dear.
That's perfect. Let's see. Everyone acts like it's the most incredible thing they've ever seen. Projection. Fair. It's kind of turned into a anti-balloon. Let's see. Any other good comments here? Yeah, so there's people calling him an anti-ballooner, which is where's that? There's okay. I'm not going to read his comment, but it is a very Fed thing to say. I smell a Fed.
Look, guys, it's a Chinese spy balloon.
I smell a Fed. All right, we got to get off this board before the Feds get us. This is our first segment.
This is gonna go off the rails. We're gonna find some wacky stuff.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Well, I mean, I have ideas. I think there's a lot of weird, unexplained weather stuff we can talk about. And it's not just gonna be conspiracy theories. It's gonna be like weather theories too. Like, ooh, how does albedo work or something? We could do an entire albedo episode. As a Chad albedo fan, I will tell you, albedo's pretty cool. Well, we're at our time.
Oh wow!
Will, do you have anything you want to add? You want to wrap us up? Actually, yeah, you just wrap us up. Why don't you?
All right. Well, yeah, it was a good episode.
Today.
We covered a lot. Sure, next episode there are some upcoming severe events, especially across the plains. It looks like Friday, so our next event we'll probably have something to talk about there. Might have a new guest on next episode. I think we can make that work.
Did you know who ever get back with you about a time?
Yeah, I think they're good whenever we are. So
all right. So we
we'll
do
work.
have a guest lined up.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm excited.
Yeah, I think it'll be good.
It's gonna be great. I just realized when you said that we didn't talk about the forecast at all. It was all about yesterday.
It's just because there was so much that happened.
Not yesterday though. But
we'll cover that in the next episode.
We'll just be retroactively covering the weather because we can't keep up with it.
Yeah, I can't get ahead of it.
We do too many conspiracy segments. No,
there's a whole bunch. We're moving into a time of year where weather stuff's kind of happening almost every day. So.
It's going to be popping off real soon. So, stay posted. We'll
keep an eye on the social medias. We're digging into some social media memes a little bit more.
We're actually
look up some memes.
By we, he means him. I ran the social media up to this point, and I did not do a very good job.
It was fine.
But Will is a more interactive Twitter user.
So, if you see our tweet, go follow us at ReflectCast on Twitter and on Instagram. And
all our socials are up here at the top in the corner too.
You might see us commenting to Storm Chasers, posting our own stuff.
Will's going to start making.
You never know where I'm going to show up.
Will's going to start adding people he doesn't like and calling them commie shills.
Yeah. I don't like your chase method. You're canceled.
Ooh, maybe we should.
Pod.
Maybe we should turn Twitter Corner into Cancel Corner, and we just cancel people.
Cancel a bunch of Storm Chasers who are flying through red lights.
Lol, is that a University of Texas shirt? Canceled.
Automatic.
We better end before we get in more trouble. Thank you, folks, for tuning in.
Thank you.
It was I think this was a pretty baller episode.
It was great.
We covered a lot. But we'll be back very, very soon. Again, keep your eyes peeled on the socials for that announcement. And until then, we'll see you.
Catch y'all later.